Do you know what an MVP is? No, it's not the most valuable player in the NBA. It stands for minimum viable product, and it's very important. Let's find out why. So, you're an entrepreneur, you're a startup, and you know what startups are very good at? Not launching. You know why? Because they're never satisfied by the version of the product that's ready to launch. They want one more day. They need one more feature, that special feature that will take the product to the next level. As creatures, entrepreneurs are never satisfied. They need to have that better version every time. As a result, time goes by and suddenly your product is irrelevant. You launch and the customer base you thought it was there, it's not anymore because they have evolved to something new or they covered their need with another product. That's why we need an MVP, a minimum viable product. According to Wikipedia, an MVP is a version of a product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and provide feedback for future product development. It's really that simple. You need a minimum product with a minimum feature set that will satisfy your initial customers, so they will use it and they will tell you what more they need. When I was starting out in this startup journey, I did this mistake over and over again. I assumed, of course they will need this feature. Wouldn't it be nice if they had? How about that option? That would be great. They would love that feature. You know what? You don't have to assume anymore. You can ask them. And as a software engineer myself, I was really tempted into creating new features all the time. As a result, I was spending months and months creating a product without taking any feedback from real customers. And if you think about it, a product should cover a need. This need belongs to a customer. So it makes sense to ask the customer what features does he need from your product in order to cover those needs. You see where I'm going? If you always assume that a customer needs that feature and that feature and that feature, you will never launch your product. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, said once, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. And that's true. Every company, when it travels back in time and sees, the first prototypes, the first version of the products, they feel embarrassed. And just think about it. It makes sense. It would be much worse if you go back in time and you believe that the latest versions are worse than the previous ones. That would mean you didn't improve, you didn't listen to the customer feedback, you didn't answer to the questions your customers had. A product is all about a customer need. You find a need, you find a pain, and you heal that pain with your product. As a result, the best person to talk about your product is your future customer. And what's the best way to approach a customer? With their initial product. But first, you have to decide what's the minimum feature set this initial product will have. That's why we call it a minimum viable product. A product that will stand by itself with a minimum feature set and will gain some traction. If you think about it, traditional companies are really slow in product development, and that's an advantage you have against them. You can iterate fast, you can create a fast solution and launch right away. That's a real advantage. And if you lock yourself in the basement for 10 years and you develop the perfect product you have in your head, this won't happen, because after all that time, you will be irrelevant, and without customer feedback, you will be creating something for someone you don't really know. It's really important to talk to your customers all the time. It's really important to take that initial feedback and let them point the way your product should go. So with an MVP in your hand, you can launch fast and you can ask your customers to use it and give you feedback. What's good? What's not good? What feature you haven't included in that version is really important for them, and what feature it's not necessary. And then you get to develop what they need. So if you really think about it, an MVP is a test. An MVP is a tool you can use to get feedback for your creation of the original product. It's really before the version 1 of your product, but it's a tool you can use to get that feedback, that very valuable feedback for your customers. Because it's different to ask them their opinion using a questionnaire or a poll. It makes more sense to them to give them something real to use. And if that's a version of your product, even an early one, that can be a real goal for you and your developing team. You know, startups and entrepreneurs by default protect their ideas. They believe that they are so viable that everyone wants to steal it from them. And they couldn't be more wrong, but that's the title of another video probably. Anyway, if you're gonna keep something from this video, is that an MVP, a minimum viable product, is very important for you and your project. It allows you to launch fast, get the real product in the hands of real customers, get this valuable feedback that will reflect on your real strategy and your product roadmap. You don't want to lose that opportunity to talk to your customers early. I did this mistake a million times in the past, and it was a real loss of time. Because I was creating features I believed they were valuable to my users, but they didn't really care. And I spent months and months developing those features because I never got to the point to ask. So be smart, create an MVP and get it out there. The customer is going to tell you what's your next step. Alright, this was another video from Georgios and OkNoob. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video, subscribe to the channel because I have lots more coming real soon. See you at the next one.